This is the November 16th, 2021 meeting of the Acquisitions and Dispositions Committee of the Troy Community Land Bank. And we are waiting for another committee member to join, so we have a quorum.
Was Brian expected to join us today? Do you know?
Yeah, he did. He did email me back, and Albert did too, and said that they were able to make it. So Albert, thank you for making it, and you too, Jeanette. I know Brian a lot of times gets caught up in things, and he gets to meetings later than average. He's I mean, everybody these days is busy, everybody, but he is, that's gotta be Heather. He's, I think, towards the top. Hey, Heather. So Heather, that's you by phone, right?
Yep.
Thanks for calling in. Brian is still not here. So,
No worries. I'm sorry. It was nuts today.
I know.
And then I ran out without checking my email before I left. So
Yeah, it's been a zoo today for me, absolute zoo.
well,
So
do you want to call the meeting and we could say it? I mean, I'll take roll call and then you can run it, or what do you want to do?
yeah, let's do that because we're already at 3:40, so we're starting 10 minutes late. So so I guess we're calling the meeting to order at 3:40. And I'll call the roll. Brian Barker is not present at the moment. Heather King is here.
There.
Jeanette Nicholson is here.
Here.
Albert Watson is here.
Here.
Tony Tazzi is here as staff. Kate Hedgeman, attorney, is here. Sherry Cavallero, our broker, is here with other members of her team. So I am not sure if I did or did not circulate the June 6th, 2021 minutes that I got from C. So the first order of business would be, well, other than to declare that we do have a quorum with 3 members, the first order of business would be, did you guys get the minutes that I may or may not have sent? And if you did
I
you have a
didn't
chance?
see any.
Okay, Albert, you didn't see them? Heather, you didn't see them?
No, I did review the Terra Small extension request and the other thing too.
Okay.
But I did not see any minutes.
Okay, it's probably because I didn't send them. So why don't we move it to next month's meeting and hopefully we'll have more minutes to go.
Actually, you did.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, you did.
What's it
Okay.
attached to, Albert?
It's you gotta it's the the agenda, the 899 River Street, and the draft minutes. You gotta hit the little star there. I mean arrows there to bring it down. It says 3 attachments.
Are you doing this from the calendar? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I never checked the calendar, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, is it dated June 8th?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
So sorry, I'm the only person who didn't, I guess.
I didn't get a chance to read it though.
Do you want
I
me to
missed
forward?
it.
Yeah.
Do you want to just move it
Me
to
too.
next month? It's June, so it's not like we're missing anything.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to review the minutes at the next monthly A&D meeting. So Legacy City Access Program. So we released an RFQ, I don't know, about a week ago. And what I really need to talk to the committee about is how you would like to go about reviewing what comes in. Let me see. Let me put this up on the screen.
The deadline was the 16th, wasn't it, Tony?
The deadline is actually November 30th. We had floated an RFQ earlier, and then change it to an RFP and then back to an RFQ. We were afraid that with everything the RFP was asking for, we would scare away developers, which the feedback I got definitely sounded like that would have happened. So we actually had a Zoom meeting today with a number of interested developers. Teresa Newton led the Zoom meeting. She did a terrific job. She drafted the RFQ, and I think she did a really good job at this too. So on the screen, what I want to talk to the committee about is how you would like to move forward with reviewing, the responses that come back. The page, you guys can see what I'm sharing on the screen, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, Heather can't, but so I'm getting down to the real nitty gritty of reviewing the application. There are these criteria for reviewing the application. They all add up to 100 points. Imagine that. So let me tell you how I've reviewed proposals in the past in my days in Malta. There'd be a team assembled and they would have a scoring sheet and everyone would individually by themselves go through and give each category a score for every proposal. And it's a time-consuming task, it really is. And it's tricky because after you see the 10th one, which we're not going to have that many of these, your mind starts to go foggy. So for me, I go through each section of each application and then move them around. So once everybody,
Tony, how many applications do we have?
we don't have any right now. Whatever we get, we will get by November 30th,
Okay,
Tuesday.
okay.
So the way I used to review these in Malta, like I said, everyone who was on the review team would do their own individual assessment. Then the team would get together and we would discuss what we scored for each category, for each application, and why we scored it. And what that does is it gets people to think of things that they might not have considered on their own. So
I love that idea.
it works. It really works pretty well. Because, somebody will say, such and such happened 10 years ago. And somebody would say, I had no idea about that. And then at the end, either at that meeting or after the meeting, everybody has the ability to adjust their scoring. And then, we do the math and however things land, they land. So, so I guess question number one is that a process that makes sense to you guys? Sounds like it does to Heather. And then question number two is, do you guys want to review the RFQs when the responses come back? My guess is we're going to get about a half a dozen.
That'd be great.
I would like to.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Did we ask for references in the RFQ?
Yes.
You must have, yeah, it's part of the quality of project applications.
Yeah, and it's also in other places in the RFQ.
Yeah,
Because I think it's important because you went from an RFP to an RFQ, that you actually make the calls for the narrowed down recipients and check references, and I make sure that they're responsible bidders so we don't have any issues.
No, I hear what you're saying, Kate.
Absolutely.
I think Teresa's done a pretty good job. And I apologize. I should have said this to you. It's just been crazy. And one of the issues is Teresa and I have been and Hillary, we thought we'd have an application going to the state by now, and we're starting to feel like we really need to move forward. So right now, we don't even know what properties we're going to have in a bundle. But if we start to evaluate the potential developers, at least will be that much further along. You know, part of this is probably going to include the acquisition of Vesta properties. So, you know, we want to get an
I
application
have a
in.
feeling it's all gonna come together, yeah, really quickly, Tony.
Well, I hope you're right.
I have a feeling all the pieces, no, I have a feeling all the pieces are gonna come together, probably overwhelmingly so. So the
Um,
most that you have, you know, yeah,
I thought I saw suggested bundles too, Tony. Didn't I see properties listed?
We've had different versions of that. So I should tell you that was it last Friday or the Friday before? We're still in 2021, right? We had open houses, and anyone who was interested could walk through 3 of the city-owned properties, and technically 4 of properties we own, one of them being 3209, 3211, which we're hoping to turn into 2 tax parcels. But that doesn't show all the properties that we're looking at for potential assemblage, you know, as part of a bundle or 2 bundles. Right now, my thinking is we'll probably go with 2 bundles, but this stuff keeps changing. So it sounds like Jeanette and Heather, you're okay with reviewing the RFQ. Albert, I'm not asking you to volunteer, so if you don't have the time for it, don't volunteer. This is really time consuming.
no, I'll make the time.
Okay.
I get, I wouldn't
But
mind
if you
doing
don't
it,
think I need
except
to, but
I don't mind doing it, but it seems like you're placing a lot on financial strength, but it doesn't seem like you're asking and for any information to determine their financial strength.
Well, we are asking for some, but
Budget.
we're not asking for a whole, if we.
A budget doesn't, a
Okay.
budget doesn't indicate whether a company's got financial strength.
No, I know that, and so what we're trying to do is winnie this down to, you know, kind of breaking this into the potentially good developers. When we actually start putting the application together, then we will definitely get into those issues. This is really. Oh, I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
What's important to note, and I had to wrap my head around this a couple of times, and I still have some issues with it, but I'm more comfortable, is that our role here is just to hold the parcels until such time as they're sold to the developer, who we submit our application together with, but essentially Enterprise, you know, approves it, and then they work with I think it's Community Preservation Corp and
Yeah.
Enterprise
It's
on the
HCR, Kate.
project. Okay, HCR. So what that really means is this is just another sale for us, right? And I think there's a certain financial review that has to be done from the developer, but that's going to come later on in the process if we were to be awarded the grant. You know, I think Enterprise and HCR too are going to require certain things be submitted by these contractors, including the financial wherewithal to do the project. So, which may include lending. I don't know. So it's kind of one of those things where, yes, we should vet them, you know, to the extent we're comfortable, but it doesn't need to be a strenuous analysis, because really we're just selling property here. We're not paying land bank money to them for the project. We're not putting any money into the project at all.
Well, who are you selling the properties to?
The developer.
All right, so you
the
need to
developer
know,
will be awarded to.
you need
Yeah,
to
but
know
we're
if
not going to shepherd the process. I guess that's what I'm saying, is once we get the grant, we get an admin fee, and then it's sort of out of our hands. We transfer title, and they've got to finish the project with Enterprise and HCR.
so
So
you're gonna
that's all
pick
I'm saying.
you're gonna pick a developer and not really know whether they can have the capacity to do the project.
I think what we're gonna do,
Well-
Albert, is shortlist based on what comes back from the RFQ. And then you probably, well, it sounds like you read the
But you don't
RFQ.
even know like whether the owners of the company have any liquidity or not. I mean, you don't know nothing. You just, a budget is
Well-
not enough information to determine whether a contractor can complete a project.
I agree, Albert. And here's the thing. I had a whole RFP drafted that did ask for a lot of these things. And I think Tony and Teresa decided that it was onerous and that, we should kind of take a shorter route with an abbreviated analysis. So that's how we got here. But I can't disagree, Albert, with anything you're saying, as I would have probably required it as well. But my
So-
understanding is that HCR and Enterprise will delve deeper into the ability of that developer and will hold their hand and get them where they need to be, because they're assuming they're not. They're assuming these are, people with very little experience with development. So the whole purpose of the program is to kind of give them a leg up to help them get their business off the ground.
Well, they have to
So
have something,
yes,
they have to,
I had to-
I mean, they have to put some of their own money into the project, right?
They have to put 5% in.
That's it?
Yep, that's it. CPC is providing the construction loan of, it's 0.5% interest-only payments for each of the buildings that they renovate until a certificate of occupancy is issued. And then the property gets sold from the developer to an owner occupant who has gone through at least a first-time homebuyer program. And if they have a rental unit, they would also have to have gone through a landlord education program. But as far as going back to the financial strength of the developer, how can I put this? If we did the RFP, our worry was that it was going to be so onerous. Actually, let me take this back a step. CPC has started something overwhelming and very costly. They would have had to come up with a scope of work, which would mean, scaled floor plans, environmental assessments. I mean, it would have been, to ask every single applicant to do that would have been costly, time consuming. And, frankly, Teresa and I were thinking, with the competition that's there, we're probably going to lose some good developers, potentially good developers. So that's why we thought, okay, if we go with the RFQ route, at least we can shortlist this and we can start communicating and start kind of building an application. So it's, I get your point. And CPC will definitely get your point. They're not going to loan money to anyone. They've been in this game since 1970s. They're not going to loan money to somebody if they don't think if they think they're going to lose money.
So at what point do we know what project they're proposing with just an RFQ? Because this is what it's going to come down to. And what I just said about us doing a property sale, and that trying to simplify this here is true. But what's also true is that if this project turns out to be not such a great design, not a good fit for the neighborhood, the public is going to have issues with that. And, we will have made this application jointly with this developer to Enterprise. So I guess my question is, if you do an RFQ with no scope of work, no potential, we really don't know what the project is. When will we know? What am I missing there?
Well, once we shortlist this to 2 or 3 developers that we start talking to, and we start building, the real application, which will be a definitive scope of work, scaled plans, a detailed estimate, all the stuff that was really in your RFP, Kate. We will help the applicant to develop that. They're going to definitely be taking the lead, but CPC and HCR will want us involved to a certain degree, because we have to work, the four entities have to work together before the application can be submitted. And HCR has also said that this isn't going to be like any other state of New York grant program where you submit an application, you wait 6 months, and they say yay or nay. When they see the formal application submitted, and again, we will have communicated with them before that even goes in, then they are going to take the developer by the hand and they're going to refine the application with CPC, the developer, and HCR. So it gets to what standard CPC has and HCR has. In terms of the quality of work, the HCR has design standards, which we don't have. Our design standards are the minimum New York State building code requirements, and HCR's requirements are higher than that. Teresa has had a lot more experience working with HCR than I have, and her worry is actually that HCR's standards are so high that they could make a project unaffordable to realistically do. So, I really
Okay.
don't think, I really don't think design's going to have to be an issue.
Okay, so I guess my next question then is, and it's just a question, I'm not being critical at all. I'm just asking, I guess, when this process is going on and we ultimately settle in on a project and a developer, because we're subject to FOIL and open meetings law, and we have to be pretty transparent about the project, I would assume we're going to have to discuss the approval of the application, at a meeting and present that, because we can't just, have people respond to RFQ and then the public doesn't know who we chose and what the project is and, all of that. So I guess that's just logistics, but, I think it's a new
Wouldn't
program
we have
and
to
we're all.
approve it at the board?
Couldn't hear you, Heather.
Yes.
Wouldn't we have to approve it at a board? Wouldn't we have to approve it at a board meeting, and at that time we'd have to present it to the entire board?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We really need to.
Yeah.
Like the RFQ would not be the end of it, I guess, is what I'm saying. And, yeah. And again, I'm trying to feel my way through this. I think we all are. It's new, you know what I mean? And there wasn't a lot of information to begin with. So, I think we do the best that we can. But I think, Albert, if you have some suggestions of what a basic minimum request would be on financial capability, that might be a good guideline to include.
Well, that's actually a pretty good point, because, Teresa has written in several parts of the RFQ that it's subject to change. So, Albert, if there's something specific you want us to have them provide, we can plug it in as an addendum.
Keep
At least
in
the minimum that
mind.
they have.
Keep in mind that these are developers that this could be their first or second project. So I think at a basic minimum, we got to say, to be able to qualify for the loan funding,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be asking for
And
anything
also
that a
have
bank
that
wouldn't ask for.
And also that 5% investors.
I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar project you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 buildings. So it's, I mean, the subsidy alone is going to be $1 million, or I should say subsidies. So Albert, what do you think we should ask them to give us as part of the RFQ? Or do you want to think about it and let me know?
Well, basically what a bank would ask for is 3 years tax returns on the business, on the owners of the company, and a personal financial statement. I think that's huge.
Can you give me that
You
list?
gotta see what they got.
Can you give me
Oh,
that
I'll
list?
send, yeah, I could send you an email. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah,
That'll be helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
not too daunting. And if their business hasn't been around for 3 years, 3 years
I
personal
know,
tax
then you
return.
probably don't want them to do this. Yeah, you probably don't want to do this with them. Yeah,
Well, but if they're new, that's the flip side of it. If they're new and they're just getting started, they might only be around for 1 or 2 years. I don't know. I think it'll vet itself out. But yeah,
I guess
definitely what Albert said.
I guess you don't want to get in the middle of this and have it fall apart. That's what I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you could have a contractor walk off the job. You know what I mean? And, even HCR at that point and CPC and everybody else involved would probably flip out, but they would have a lien on the property at that point and it would be their problem. But, from a PR perspective, we want to make sure this project succeeds.
right. Yeah.
So, we can
Yeah,
ask for it, see what we get, because they're not going to get through the second phase of this in an application without being able to prove that, Albert. So it doesn't hurt to ask for it now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's easy enough for that information to be pulled together by whoever wants to respond.
Do you have a
absolutely.
do you have a personal financial statement for the land bank?
No, you and I talked about that.
What was that?
I have
Heather?
one we can model it off of, Albert. I have
Oh,
one we
okay.
can model off of.
Okay. All right.
We can go, I'll send you over one that I filled out for various institutions.
Okay.
Not filled out, of course. And you guys can kind of tailor it to what you would like to see.
Okay.
I thought, Albert, that you had one that you used the Pioneer.
Oh,
but it's,
I don't have it.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah, I don't have it.
I have it.
And it's also
okay.
that, and it's also
Okay.
that product.
Yeah.
All
So,
right. Okay.
okay.
I have it.
I didn't take one home when I left.
That I can say I have in my files.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. And I can get my other clients. I can find out what they require too, if you want. But you can take an eyeball on this one and see if it covers the bases that you would like to see.
So getting back to reviewing this, well, actually, Brian, let me recognize that Brian is in the meeting.
Yeah, I apologize. I had another meeting run long, so I was about 15 minutes late.
That was my guess. So Brian, just to bring up to speed really quick, we have released an RFQ for the LCAP program. And the intention is to at least start moving forward to start identifying potential developers. And what I asked the committee was who would like to review the responses to the RFQ. And I mentioned a way I did it in Malta, and I'll say this really quick because everyone else has already heard it. And if you want to follow up, you can with me after the meeting. But in Malta, we would have a score sheet that reflected exactly what's on the RFQ. People on the reviewing team would individually do the reviews. The team would come together and everyone would go through each application and each score and talk about why they scored it the way they did. And in that conversation, what almost always happens is some member of the team learned something that they didn't have in their head when they were reviewing it. So at the end of that meeting, and it usually is just one meeting, people can either amend their scores based on the additional information they have, or people can go back and individually do it and then just turn them in and we do the math and it turns out the way it turns out. So what I was asking was, who wants to be part of that review team? I mean, I'm happy to review the applications if you guys would like me to, if you're comfortable with me doing it. I would suggest that Teresa also be included because she's done so many of these herself. But I know, Brian, you probably, I don't know if you've reviewed proposals or submitted. I know you've submitted plenty of proposals in your career, but it is time consuming, and it can
Tony,
be.
stop trying to Tony, stop trying to scare us off.
Okay, talk to me after you reviewed them.
Do you have a maximum on the length of the proposal? You're going to allow them 20 pages or 50 pages or?
You know, I don't think Teresa has a maximum in here. I could be wrong. I don't recall seeing it.
I didn't see anything like that either.
It might be a good idea so they don't
Well,
just
I would
stuff it full of junk.
I'd also be happy to say if we all do want to, I would like to review. I think it would be like a nice precursor to, you know, when we do get the final applications in. But maybe we could do it over a dinner. You know, we could go someplace and have dinner and then just kind of go through them all. Or a lunch.
Okay,
Sounds
sounds
good.
good to me.
I think a minimum and a maximum length could be good. It keeps you from getting like, you know, 3 volumes and the other one's a napkin sketch, you know?
It's already out.
It's out.
Well, but Teresa has in there probably 12 times over that the RFQ is subject to change. So, and we had a
we've
Zoom
already
meeting.
added,
Do an addendum.
Yeah, and
You'd have to do an addendum and post it to the website.
we had a Zoom meeting at noon today, and we had pretty good turnout. And I did say, you know, it's very likely that this RFQ is going to change for any number of reasons. One of which is we don't own the Vesta properties yet, so it would be nice if we have up to 13 buildings, if they all fall in place the way we would like them to. So it would be nice if we had the Vesta properties to choose from because they were all very recently inhabited and they're in pretty decent shape compared to what we're used to getting. So,
well, where are we on the finance for that? Because we have deadlines. I mean, we got to close by mid-December.
I know. I talked to Steve Streichman today and I expressed exactly that concern. And he is going to talk to Monica tomorrow and he's going to get back to me on that. So
How is this?
I have to follow up, but I have to follow up with Monica on something else. So I'll touch base too on Thursday with her.
Okay, thank you. That'd be great.
How's the word getting out about
Sorry.
Well, we have the RFQ posted to the website. Teresa and Hillary Lameshaw, who also used to be with Trip, they have been marketing it, and I have to confess, I don't know exactly what process they've used.
Okay.
I do know that we're really happy with the number of interested potential developers. We didn't think we would have nearly as many as we have. Right now, I think we're probably 8 or so people.
Okay.
So
They really should have posted it to the contract reporter because the state really does a great job of honing in on very specific and then sending follow-up emails about the opportunity to the specific listservs. So
it's not too late.
we probably, yeah, I mean, we should be doing that with everything that we post for an RFQ or something, but
So maybe once it's amended with coupled with whatever we determined today, that you can post it up there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I think they have a minimum time frame.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a month or what it is, but my worry would be that if we're saying the RFQ has to
Oh,
be
they will
submitted by the 30th and the contract reporter requires more time to post the opportunity, then it could be problematic. We could extend the RFQ
Okay.
deadline, but we're really trying to move forward with this.
Back to Brian's point, what do you think the minimum and max should be, Brian? Like 5, minimum 5, max 10 kind of thing?
I haven't read through the RFQ, but
It's going to be
yeah.
lengthier than that.
yeah,
It's going to have
but
to be.
a lot of proposals we submit have page limits,
Yeah.
and it's for the review process. So you're kind of giving everybody kind of a fair review of something that's kind of apples to apples.
Makes sense.
Brian, do you want to take a look at it and let me know what you think it ought to be? Or do you want me to talk to Teresa and we can get down?
I could take a look at it. Yeah. I mean, but
I suppose I could talk to Teresa about it.
I think the important thing is just it's something reasonable that
Right.
So you're getting enough information, but you're not getting overloaded with surpluses. Somebody say it for me.
Superfluous.
Thank you.
Superfluous.
Um,
Superfluous.
say that.
Junk. Yeah.
You meant
Information.
superbness.
Superfluous
Yeah.
is what I was trying to say, but Albert said it
Yeah.
for me, so thank you. Okay.
I mean, 20 pages is pretty standard from things we've submitted.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I've seen, now that you've said that, Brian, I've seen RFPs, RFQs that specify how much space for each category as well.
Yeah.
So, and I think that probably would be a good idea for this because there are some scoring criteria that's going to require more information than others. So.
Just to let you know, I just got off the exit in Janet Johari. I don't know how long I'll have service for, so if I'm going to stay on. My appointment's not till 4:30. But if all of a sudden I'm gone,
Okay, thanks for the advance warning.
it wasn't anything you said.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Okay, so do you guys want to talk about that any more or any less?
I'm good.
Okay.
Me too.
Well, thanks for
Yeah,
the feedback. I definitely needed to hear how you guys want to go forward with this. So, all right. Brian, do you want me to continue facilitating, or do you want to jump in as chair?
Sure. Are you on enforcement now? That's where we are.
Yeah.
Any updates on enforcement?
Yeah. So, 899 River Street. I sent Terra Small, who we sold it to, the kind of the self-reporting thing that I drafted a few months ago, and that actually worked out pretty well. She was out of the country for a while, but she got it back to me within 2 weeks, and I asked her for some additional information, photographs, to explain any problems she's run into, and she did do that. So she's been pretty cooperative, but she did say that she has run into delays with the city of Troy over various issues, run into delays because it's taken longer to get architecturals done, in part because of the building department. And apparently she started doing some kind of work and got hit with a stop work order. So I'm sure that didn't make her a fan in the building department. So she has requested.
Does she need
Yeah, she's requesting.
Does she need an extension or? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she's very near her expiration. But I think she recognizes already that it's going to take longer than what the enforcement note probably has for a date.
Okay, did she say how long? Did she request a specific time period?
I don't believe she did. I'll check the, I'll check what she sent back. I don't think she did though.
I think it was 6 months if I'm recalling, but I'm driving.
Yeah, because that seems reasonable. I mean, you know, the building departments, even though everybody's supposed to be back, there's a backlog. And, you know, when you have issues like she's having, then, you know, it might cause some more, you know, problems. But as long as she continues to communicate, you know, and you suggest that, you know, we extend it 6 months, I can put that together and we can have her re-sign.
Okay.
I have the form in front of me. She is requesting from January 22 an extension through June 2022.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay, thanks, Shay. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Kate. That doesn't need board action?
You know, we can, I think we should put it on the agenda just to approve it. But, you know, that's 6 months is reasonable. And like I said, the fact that she even asked for an extension and disclosed to us and communicated where she's at, that's not something we get from everyone. So, you know, I think this is fine.
Okay. Kate, sounds like you need to run to another meeting. I had on the agenda attorney-client privilege meeting for an agreement that you wanted to talk about. So I take it we're not going to get to that today, right?
Which agreement?
The RPI amendments.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, we probably, yeah, because I got a 4:30 I got to get to. So let's table that. And we can do that at the board meeting if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll jump back up to status of sold properties. I got inside 820 River Street with Suzanne. And just coincidentally, 822 happened to be right next door, so I got to look in the windows and see that they are making progress. And I don't really have much to report, except that I do see work going on, and I need to send them the self-reporting form and possibly do an inspection. At this point, I don't think there are any, you know, reasons to take any kind of enforcement action. But I need more information to be able to say that for sure. And 3325 6th Avenue, I received an email from the father of the son who bought it and who will be resigning there. He's also an architect. And he just, boy, I've got to remember what he said to me. Oh, he's running into an issue because he thought he could use electricians from New York City and he can't. So he's having conversations with code enforcement. It was actually emailing me to ask me if I knew of any electricians, and I replied back to him that, you know, I don't.
Would you like the name of a couple?
Do you think it would be beneficial to have a discussion with the building department at Troy to kind of get one key point person there? Because what I'm consistently hearing from people that are buying our properties is that they're getting consistently conflicting information, and they're just being told one thing by one person and one thing by another person. Like maybe just getting a point, like 1 point person for people that are purchasing land bank properties.
That makes sense. And I will say that that doesn't just happen in Troy. That happens in every building department where you have multiple building inspectors. The code's supposed to be black and white, but it's not. Well, I just didn't, so
Well,
I had the same problem.
I just happen to know that I just happen to know there's a little bit more to some of these situations, and that it's like once they find out that they bought a land bank property, that sometimes it's like, I don't know, there just seems to be a little, might be worth having a conversation with Steve or somebody about.
Do that.
I mean, I'll be happy to do it. I can call Steve, but I just was like,
Well, he's gonna call me tomorrow, so he's supposed to.
all right. Well, just tell him to call me, and I'll just share with him what my insight has been, and then they can just kind of just be aware of it.
Okay. Okay, just added that to my to-do list.
I know it was short, so do you need some more things?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I know your to-do list is short. Do you want us to add some more? I'm so glad I'm all the way in Canajoharie, so you can't smack me from there.
I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning today thinking about the LCAP program, and I've been up ever since, and I'm doing pretty good considering. But it's the first time in a long time that the land bank woke me up. So updates on
You woke up with excitement.
yeah, just how I wanted to. So updates on the properties we own right now. 791 River Street. George Brower is actually working in the building. He's going to work on the bathrooms. He's putting the floors down, so he's moving in there. If you haven't been by it, the veneer is all gone, and today Bolton Construction started laying the new veneer. So I made it pretty clear to them that the supplier made it very clear to everyone what he has to do to make sure that the mortar sets properly. So what they said today was that they would be covering it with blankets and keeping it heated. So hopefully
that
that'll
was gonna be my question.
Yeah. Yeah, this time of year, we didn't want to start this, but I was hoping that they could start last week, but it didn't happen, so. And the metal panels will go on after the masonry is done. So Holland Commercial, who's doing the metal panels, they're just waiting. They can jump in at any time. And you saw my email about the crazy car accident that sent a stop sign through our storefront window, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah, I know. No need to go further into that.
Is it just broken glass or is there more damage than that?
I thought at first it was broken glass. I was there this morning and the door is just not, I think the whole storefront has to be replaced. The door is just not opening the way it did before. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, with whoever's going to pay for this, you know, the two cars that were involved, whichever insurance company is going to pay for this, I'm going to push for replacement of the whole unit. Be curious to see what the timing is, but so any questions on 791?
When is the mason expecting to be done?
He didn't say. I asked today and he didn't say. So You know, the one thing we talked about, he said that the former GC really didn't leave a very good base for him to start with. So what he said was, it's going to take whatever time it takes for him to start, level square, all that. But that once they get started, it should go pretty quickly. I mean, there's really not a lot of an area there.
Yeah.
So when you get down to it, I forget how many units we purchased, but it's not a whole lot. Temperatures Thursday will be in the 60s. So I'm hoping that he's willing to, and I guess the rain's not going to really start until 4-ish, 5-ish. So hopefully he can, you know, get a lot done today, tomorrow, and finish Thursday. Although he didn't say that.
Yeah. Oh, so that quick. Okay. So you're a matter of days, not necessarily weeks.
I don't believe it will be weeks.
Good.
He did suggest that instead of doing the camphering around the storefront door, that they just stop, square, and then fill in with metal. He's afraid that such a narrow column of block probably won't hold up over the long course of time. I talked to George Brower about it today. He agreed. So unless A&D has any reservations, I think we should do as the contractor suggested and fill in the storefront doorway area with metal.
Okay, guys, I gotta go.
All right. Bye, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Heather.
Bye. You're welcome.
So 11 Winnie Avenue, right after this meeting, I'm meeting Johnny Bobo at 11 Winnie. The furnace, the replacement furnace is being installed today. So that's good news. Johnny and I kind of had a little bit of a personality conflict. Let's call it that. And Kate, thank you for drafting the letter. Kate sent him a letter that kind of woke him up. And the bottom line is he's finished with 3229 6th Avenue. That finished today, and now he's shifting over to 11 Winnie. And we made it very clear that everything has to be completed, you know, well before the end of December. So that's part of what I'm meeting with him after this meeting. I've got a punch list to go over with him, and there's quite a few things on it. And there are some repairs that need to be made. They're not a whole lot, but they have to be made. And he's actually already started to do some of that stuff. So he's taking Kate's letter to heart. 54 5th Avenue, we were originally told that it was going to be done by the end of, I don't know if it was this month or last month. But as it turns out, and I don't know, you know, what SEAT's organizational chart looks like, but they have, I believe, 3 trainers. And they had one person who was really spending all his time in 54 5th Avenue. And George was coming off other things to help him at 54 5th Avenue. And they were going to bring a 3rd person over, which was why they said they were going to finish when they did. Since that was said, several things happened. One of the 3 people had a slip disc. He's been out for, I think, a month. I think he just came back, but he's physically limited. And he was instructing a group of students. So with him gone, the person who was working by himself at 54 5th Avenue had to cover for him. So that took time away from 54 5th. And we had a meeting with SEAT a couple of weeks ago to talk about 791 and the timeline. And that, I think, encouraged George to start working on 791. So the appliances are being delivered on November 29th. And let's hope that they stay there. So Like I said, 3229 Sixth Avenue is done. Johnny Bobo completed the roof today. He submitted a $1,400 change order to put fascia in so that the roof rafters, the roof joists are not exposed to the weather. So, and 7 Park Avenue is essentially land banked for future demolition for some organization to redevelop that lot and the double lot that's just to the east of it. So that's what I've got for updates. You guys have any questions?
Nope.
I did not.
All right, well, we lost Kate, so we're off agenda item 7.
Okay,
So
have a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I'll
make a
make the
motion to
motion.
adjourn.
I'll second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tony.
all right,
Yep.
thank you guys.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll talk to you, Albert, on those financials.
Okay, I'll send you an email with the stuff we normally would request, which is basic stuff, you know.
Okay, we can
All
add
right.
it. All right, thanks.
Okay, take it easy.
I'm gonna try. What's going on with this?